Use a T25 screwdriver to remove the screw that holds the brake pads. Remove the brake pads out of the caliper and again insert the brake pad block screw. Then you should use the following brake pad block as a bleeding block. Before you start the bleeding process with SmartBrake, you need to make sure that the piston is retracted all the way back. This you can do by using a manual pinch and screw the coupling backwards. If it's hard to screw it backward, that meaning it's a vacuum behind the piston and you need to open the bleeding port. Now that the piston is retracted all the way back, I can start the bleeding process. Before starting the bleeder system, use some rubber gloves and some safety goggles. With the use of 2 syringes, I will use one for Tektro and one for Magura. And we will use Magura mineral oil for the system. Make sure that SmartBrake is on the highest point and the Magura caliper is on the lower. I start by retracting the screw for the bleeding port on the Magura disc brake and insert the first syringe. Now I'll push carefully to get all the air out of the cable. I will fill the container all the way over the bleeding port so that it can't get any air inside. Now that the container is filled with oil, it can't get any air into the system. So I will use the second syringe with a Tektro nipple to continue the bleeding process, to not have any air into the system. So just push it back into the other syringe. Now that this syringe is filled, I will then remove SmartBrake from the highest top and then I will empty the container and I will push oil from here and up, and sometimes it will have some air trapped into this part of the SmartBrake. So I just use it upside down, turn it around, make it a spin and see if it comes any air out. Then I make sure that SmartBrake is placed back on the highest top. And instead of pushing, I will then use the lowest point and drag out some oil from the top. And then I just push the oil back and forth to see if it's any air coming into the syringes. When I'm confident that there's not any air inside the system, I will then remove the syringe from the highest top while I push oil from the bottom to fill the container. And again, as we started, to not have any air coming in, I will fill the container all the way up, then it's not any air coming back into the system. Then I'll take the bleeding screw from the Magura disc brake, and I will remove this syringe. Now oil will fall down from the top and back here, and I will know that there's not coming any air into the system as it's all the way filled over the bleeding port. So when this one is locked, I still know that it's oil up here, so we can't get any air into it. Then I will use a Torx 10 to add in the bleeding screw for the SmartBrake on the top. Make sure that it's fastened hard. And then you have bleeding the SmartBrake system. After the bleeding session, you may need to make sure that you clean the product to get all the oil away from where the brake pads are mounted. And you can also clean the SmartBrake with the same product. I use isopropanol. Give it a good cleaning here, and very important to get all the oil out of where the brake pads are mounted. After bleeding, you need to mount the bleeding block and the brake pads, and you can check if the piston is how far the piston goes in. So a good bleeding should be like this, not go very far when pushing the brake. If it goes any further or very far in, that means you have a bad bleed.